All right. All right. I'm so excited to have my brother, Dan, the man, Dan Hubrick. I said that right? Hubrick?
Yeah, that's right. How you doing,
Dan
Eric?
Hubrick. You are one of the most entertaining men that I know in my life. You are the one client, I got to say this, sorry clients, but you're my favorite person to receive audios and videos from in the check-ins between our calls.
Oh,
So
good.
it really is like, even if you're like, oh, this is in 7 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest my time and watch this in spurts sometimes. But
Trying to work
Dan,
on the length, keeping them shorter.
yeah, it's okay. But I wanted to thank you, first of all, for coming on with me, sharing your story with everyone. And I love hanging out with you. So we're going to have some fun. So let's
Thank you. It's
get
good to be
into,
here.
like, you and I were friends and then you became a client. We're always friends, but we've been stepping into like breath work and hypnotherapy container together. And you've done some amazing work. You've had some amazing challenges. And we just want to share that client story. So take me back to the beginning before we started working together. From the outside in, what did your life look like? What was going on there before we started working together?
So, over the past 6, 7 years, I've gone through a lot of life transformations, left the LDS church, was going through like an existential crisis. And, I did a bounce. I got divorced from my first wife of 22 years during this time, same time as, the existential crisis. And then foolishly did the bounce back marriage, met a new girl 6 months later, or 9 months later, we're married, and that only lasted 3 years. And there was some really tumultuous situations in that marriage that, caused a lot of emotional damage, trauma, things like that. And then I had, I've got a lot of things from the past, childhood wounds and things that I always knew were there, and I'd kind of dealt with them a little bit with traditional therapy, but it was just always that gnawing at me, knowing that I needed to go deeper. And so when I met you, it was from a referral from a really good friend. And I had always been I had been fascinated with hypnosis and the mind and the power of subconscious. Like that's kind of a hobby for me. And so this was really resonated. And yeah, that's about kind of the state I was in, but looking for, let's do some deep work and actually really make a difference instead of just, the branches. Like let's get to the roots. And I feel like that's what you helped me do, and that's why I came to you initially.
Thank you for that. Now, was there a specific pain point? Was there a specific thing that got you over the edge to say, all right, I want to commit to this?
Yeah, I think so. So one of the areas has been a challenge my whole life is I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I have been a chameleon in the past. I'm very good at getting people to like me, and I can relate with people quickly. And the problem is that's a good skill, but then when you sell yourself out and you don't stand up for what you want and what you believe and what you think, all in the name of I got to get these people to like me, that's where all the bad stuff starts happening. And I've made a lot of progress over the years, but I feel like it just wasn't, completely clicking. And that's when we started doing some work together.
Beautifully put. Okay, and so you had been doing work together or with other people, right? You'd already known something was going on. So what was it that made our work different than anything else you tried?
Well, the easiest way to say it would be yours is like we're going to cut right to the chase, right? We could talk for hours about how it's come up in your life and, how can you handle these situations. But in my opinion, that's more a traditional approach. With you, it's like, let's get really into it and find out where did this fear come from originally, right? And that's when we would have, conversations with 12-year-old me, and that's when I became a believer when stuff just started coming out of my mouth. I'm like, what's going on? And I
Yep.
felt like we really got to the nuts and the bolts of the real root problem with you, like immediately. Like it was right out of the gates. It's like I almost don't even need to hear all the stories. It's like, why do you keep going to this behavior? That's what we're going to work on. And that's what I really loved about your approach.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not talk therapy. We're not doing talk therapy. That's like I've said this before. I'm like, nope, not poo-pooing it. Some people like it. Some of my clients still go to their talk therapist. They do both. And some of the talk therapists will send me their clients because they're like, look, I can only go so deep. Please go deeper with them. So I like the way that I go about things a little bit differently. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, we're looking at getting to the root cause. Whatever the behaviors are, whatever the issue is never really the issue. It's about going underneath, and your willingness to be vulnerable and go there with me is half the battle. As the GI Joe used to say, right? Like winning is half the
Exactly.
battle. You
Yeah,
got to be willing to show up for yourself and tell the fucking truth to
exactly.
yourself.
Correct.
and to me, so that we can then go in and look at that. And it can be fucking scary sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
and
There are
that was
some
a
things
big
you were
hurdle that
scared of.
I still struggle with. That I think you did really help me overcome. That if you can't get to where you can be brutally honest with yourself, like there's no healing that can even be done. Doesn't matter what the therapy is, right? Like you've got to face that. And you helped me like stand side by side, you and me together, looking at the problem versus traditional shame of you've screwed up, you've ruined this, you've ruined that, versus like what's causing this behavior in the first place, right? And I
Right.
felt like I just always felt safe in that it was a collaborative effort. Like together, we're going to look at this problem, look at the root of it, and see what we can do to rewire some things, right? Like
Yeah.
that was the feeling I had the whole time, and it was beautiful. It was really an amazing approach that you do. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's demystify this for some people, because somebody may be watching this before and, oh, there goes my camera. I'll bring it back, but we'll keep going. So the question is this, like some people are like, maybe they've heard about hypnotherapy, or maybe they've heard about breath work, and they're like on the kind of edge of, all right, I know I want to do this. I've heard about these things, or I've seen it on, Instagram with people screaming and crying and all of that. If it sounds like a lot and, it can seem like that, how would you break it down for somebody in the most simplest terms?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have run across a lot of friends where I've been pumped up telling them about, the results and things, and then they're curious, like, oh, I don't want to do hypnosis. I would never do something that I wouldn't normally do under my own power. I'm like, no, that's not at all how it works. Is simply unlocking the subconscious that's running your life automatically already. A great analogy that I have is, and we could probably all relate to this, when a light bulb burns out, let's say in the bathroom, right? And you go to turn it on, or any room, and it's dark, right? You're like, oh, that's right, got to change the light bulb. But you will turn that light bulb on three or four or five more times before you change it, and you'll forget, right? Because it's
Yeah.
habit. It's just a habit
Yeah.
automatically. And so with the work that we do with you, it's simply guided deep meditation and breath work, I would say. But when you just do it on your own, you kind of get into that hypnotic state a little bit, and the light feelings of breath work. But with you, it's guided, and you're like, hey, we're gonna go even deeper now, even deeper. And it's simply just very relaxing. Like the feeling is it's not nothing weird. Like I know what we're doing the whole time. If I need to stand up and go to the bathroom, it's not a problem.
Right.
But yet I'm letting those walls down, and I'm allowing you to take me somewhere that I normally wouldn't go. And in that very deep, relaxed state, and that's how I know it works, because when we would first get into session, maybe 10 minutes in, you'd ask a question, where are we, Dan? What are we doing right now? And I'm like, the people pleasing would come out. I'm like, all I see is black. We're not anywhere. Like, what answer do you want? Right. And I would quickly think, what does he want me to say? And then, but then another 10 minutes in, we're going deeper, deeper. Let's talk more about this. Tell me more about that. And that's when let's ask 12-year-old Dan a question. What do you think about this, Dan? And instantly, like, out comes the answer. My voice even sounds a little different, maybe younger. And it's like, that's when I knew this stuff is working. Like you're accessing something that's always there, but we cover it up. It's painful, it's ugly, we don't want to look at it. And so the brain automatically, as a way to protect you,
Yeah.
it creates that denial. But you open it up in a safe way, and it's like there's nothing to be afraid of. It's you. Like we're just looking at you. Nothing to be afraid of. And anyway, it's a beautiful process, and nothing to be afraid of, literally, of hypnosis. That's what I would
Yeah.
tell people. It's just a very, very deep relaxation, almost a little dreamlike, kind of that state of you're half awake, half asleep, maybe. That's how I
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah. I like to
In
call it,
total
I like to
control.
say,
In total control, though, the
yeah,
whole
you're
time.
always in control. This is not stage hypnosis. This is not, you're going to be clucking like a chicken or lose control. Everyone needs it. It's a big myth, but it's like everyone is always in control of themselves, because your subconscious mind, what we're working with, its number one objective is to keep you safe, keep you breathing, keep you here. And so it's not going to let you or me, it doesn't matter the hypnotherapist, to allow you to do something to harm yourself.
Right.
So there's that. And then there's also, this is like meditation with a goal. It's the simplest way to put it. We're looking to create an end result in each session
Mhm.
or results. And it's not just we're gonna hope or pray or have theory. Like, no, we're specifically going in to rewire specific things, and simply having the openness. You meet me 50%, which you've done so well. I meet you 50%. And we're able to go create some magic. So thank you for the helping me kind of communicate that to people. So was there one, two, or three defining moments for you, specific moments that changed everything for you, gave you this new perspective. Would you mind sharing a few of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So one in particular, I think I told you this is one of those. I was so excited that I sent you a video or some story, and we were at Lake Powell, and we were on a boat, and setting boundaries with others is typically a hard thing for me to do. I'll just kind of follow in line and do what everyone's doing. But there was a situation where a safety issue was, becoming a concern. We were pulling some tubes around, and I've been boating for years, and the person that was driving the boat was the kind of person you don't stand up to. It's like my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And typically I wouldn't say anything, but I automatically just stood up. I said, "Hey, stop the boat. We need to make some adjustments here for safety." And they're like, "What's the problem? We always do it this way." And then I continued to insist. I was like, "No, I insist. Like, A, we would get a ticket if we didn't, if a ranger saw this, and B, there's nothing worth risking the safety of any of these people. And immediately he shut down. He's like, "Yep, you're right. Let's do that. Safety first. We're gonna take some precautions here." And I sat down and we carried on. And it was only until after that I realized, oh my gosh, I just set like a very beautiful boundary with total calmness. Like I wasn't anxious. I didn't have to talk myself into it. It just happened. Right. And that was one of the things we were working on is boundaries. And so that was an instance where I was like, yeah, like something actually is changing, and
Yeah, it's quantifiable, right? You actually
yeah,
notice, oh, it clicks, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is sometimes it's a moment, a defining moment. You're like, wow, where I used to struggle, where that used to be a thing, where I would have been in my head for a freaking hour trying to
mhm,
decide what to do. You just went and created that
yep,
boundary and
yep,
lived it,
exactly,
and no matter how it went, you were standing your ground. So that's a beautiful one. Thank you for that example. I remember that.
absolutely. Another one I would say would be just owning the new version of me, right? And so, growing up LDS and as a people pleaser, like it's very easy for me just to give the answer everyone wants, to check the box, don't ruffle any feathers. And so that was another area I noticed. It was just second nature. Like it's a challenge. Like it's something I've battled my whole life. So, this is an ongoing thing. I'm going to need some refresher things from you. But like, let's just say like unbelievable difference in being able to stand up for myself, saying like what I think and believe, and it doesn't matter what the response is, right? Like I'm not saying things to get a response anymore. I'm saying things because it's who I am, and I can't even tell you like how much joy that's brought into my life. And it might be a little rough around the edges at first. I'm so excited to have a voice. It might be a little much for some people, but like that's so much better in my opinion than just always agreeing with people, saying what they want to hear, but inside you're like suffering, right? And you
Yeah.
just thank you. I can't tell you how grateful I am that I'm seeing those changes in day-to-day life, and it's so freeing and it's wonderful.
Yeah,
And
good, good.
and it's when it's on autopilot that I know it's working. Because with traditional talk therapy, it's like, okay, oh, I got to set a boundary. Okay, what are the steps? Like, that's right, I gotta say this, I gotta do that. Like it's very cognitive versus with you, it's just I
Yeah,
just stood up, set the boundary, sat down, and then I realized what I had done, right? So I'd say that's
yeah.
the big difference between the talk therapy versus what you do. And it's a beautiful process. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, it's more of an embodied process. But we've talked about this. I call it the CIS, the Central Intelligence System. It's not just up here. Everybody, we're very mental, right? We're taught to be very heady, men and women. But if we
Mhm.
look at like spirit, God, universe, soul, mind, heart, and our gut, if when we have that all aligned, that becomes our central intelligence system that we can pull from. And so life can just get easier. Life doesn't have to be so fucking hard. So when you're just you're guided from this central place. You're not thinking everything through. It's not being run through a spreadsheet. It's literally you're feeling that guidance and you're being guided
Yeah,
by whatever you want to call it in your higher self. At the end of the day, do you trust yourself more?
absolutely. Absolutely. And a couple other examples I wanted to mention was I had sent you a text of a very personal experience that had happened. And, something I'd struggled with my whole life that I hate is, like suicidal thoughts will pop into my head when things get really bad. And it's never been like I'm going to act on this or plan anything or even really dwell on it. But I hate that those thoughts pop into my head
Yeah.
more than I would like them to, right? And one of the big things
Yeah.
you taught me is how to separate yourself from your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you, right? And they may not even be generated from you. You know, you got to be a witness of your thoughts, like seeing a piece of paper floating down the river. It's like you don't have to pick up every piece of paper that comes, you know, just
Yeah.
watch it go down, recognize it. Like you really helped me do that. And on many occasions, it's helped me to not say something stupid, not do something stupid, you know, like think before you act type of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
made a huge difference. So that was a big one. And go on with any other questions. Yeah, there was one other
Yeah.
example I wanted to share, but it'll come back to me though.
Okay. So really, it's my last question is for those men out there who have not taken action, right? Who know there's something going on. There's some sort of chaos in their life. Maybe some things are going great, but they know like, hey man, these things are starting to stack up and they're feeling, but they don't know where to go, or you know, they know that they need to kind of lean into this, but there might be a little bit of hesitation. What do you want to say to them? What do you want to say directly to them to go do?
I would say this, in my opinion, a lot of men silently suffer. Okay, that's how I am. That's how a lot of friends are. And it's how we've been raised in society. You know, men gotta be strong at all times, in all places. And it's just like our role to play. But guess what? We're not feeling strong a lot of the times. In fact, we're feeling weak and we're feeling beat down and feeling like completely, you know, stick a fork in me. But we don't dare say anything to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Because men don't do that. And so I would say, you know that that's true, men who are listening. We all have a shadow, dark side that haunts us in the different ways that it does all of us. And I want you to know that Aaron James is the safest guy out there
Mm.
that is zero judgment, nothing but love, nothing but he can contain. It's almost this attitude of like, I don't want this to sound wrong, but it's like I don't even care so much about all the details. Like you don't even need to tell me all these things, right? Like let's just freaking fix what's going on so you're not in pain anymore, you know? And that's the safety you provide. And it's like, please, like men, we got to stop suffering in silence. Life's
Yeah.
hard, kicks us in the teeth a lot. And it's okay to be on the rebound. It's okay to have bruised knees. It's okay to be like, I need some help here. Like I'm falling apart. And you're the guy for that. I can't even tell you how grateful I am and looking forward to future sessions and the friendship and love you, man. Thank you so much.
Same. Love you too, brother. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with everybody. I really, really do appreciate it. I'll tag you in all of this
Thank you.
and more adventures to come, brother. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much.
Love you, dude.
All
See ya.
right.
Yeah,
Love
bye.
you.